G'day everyone, welcome to this week's Life on the Hulls and a sneak peek behind me as to what's to come. That, my friends, is the fly bridge of a power cat. Now it's not going to be suitable for my sailboat, so I'm going to have to modify it. And there's going to be a lot of techniques and a lot of things that I'm going to do to make this more appropriate for my sailboat. A lot of modifications coming up. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this episode and leave a comment and give me your feedback. If you've got any ideas, let me know. Sometimes they're too late, sometimes they're right on point. This week we're putting in the mast post. It's going in, the center bulkhead's going in, and the port side head that's been giving me so much jip for about 3 years is going in and never coming out again. Janet's coming up. She's now working with me a couple of days a week. I'm loving it and I'm getting a lot more done. So thanks for joining me. The deck demold. 2 weeks, guys. You've only got to hang out, so you better watch next week's or you're going to miss the preamble to that demolding session. Thanks for joining me. Let's get into it. Okay, this bit's not going to be fun. I've got to get in under this head, under here, and put in some mounts for water pumps, macerator pumps, and for some hose clamping that I'm going to be putting in under here. Now there's a hell of a lot of plumbing going to go in behind this head, and I'm going to lock this down in the next couple of days. I'm going to lock it down and put it in place forever, and I figure it's easier to do it while it's up in the air, but I've still got to do it within the hole, so I'm going to climb in and get it done. All right, so in we go. It's going to be ugly. Now I'm in. Okay, I've got my drill, and I've got 4 mounts here which we're to put in. I've already got 2 down in the bilge in here and next to the through holes. I'll just show you those. So I've already got this one here. This is plywood epoxied onto the wall, fiberglassed over, then flow coated, and I intend to do the same here. So I've got my through hole there, and then similarly on the other side I've got one here and a through hole here. So I've got my 2 exit points here that I required, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be mounting a couple on here. This is in behind the shower seat, so I've got plenty of room for pumps and things here, and very, very important that I can get pumps to sit correctly here, and yeah, I think I'm pretty well right now. And then really importantly, right here, I'm going to have a 3-way valve. We can open the cupboard door, switch it, and divert the waste out of the hole. Just spent another 2 hours down under the head, grinding, sanding, cleaning. It's time to flow coat it. I'm going to flow coat everything where my pumps and everything are, so that when I look in there, it's going to be a little bit brighter. That dark green is going to create some pretty dark places inside those hatches, so very important that I have good light and mist grey flow coat in there, and it'll actually give me a little bit of a sense of achievement every time I look in that hatch rather than just some ugly fiberglass. And there's nothing more to really glass there apart from a couple of skin fittings and some small brackets, but I can't do any more. I'm at the point where I have to put this in, so I'm going to get in there and flow coat it out and get it done. This has better be about the last friggin' time that I climb into this hole. Seriously, it's 2.5 feet high and it's about 1 metre long, so my legs are bigger than the frigging hole. But anyway, here I come. This is hopefully the last time I'm going to mask it up, and I'm going to hopefully flow coat it out. Christ almighty. Sorry if my videos get a bit leggy here with this wide angle lens. You can see nothing but my bloody man spread going on here. But what I'm going to do, I've got to be careful I don't flow coat wherever this module is going to be epoxying down. I am actually going to be able to glass the back of some of this because I'm going to be able to reach in behind. So I'm going to cut off my flow coat right here so that I can tab and glass it down in here. Actually, I might even pick it along the top of the chine here. This area down in here really isn't an issue where the mounts are. And I'm going to flow coat up to about this high. Now, the one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to flow coat the back of this module because that actually has those wall studs, that those foam studs that I put on the module. It's hanging above me here precariously. I wanted to make sure that I've got a bond to the actual module as well as the external module that wraps around it. It's a two-piece module, this one, and once it's together it's never coming apart. There's no point in trying to flow coat all this. I'm never going to have access to it. This area here is an access area for pumps. I'm going to have a bilge outlet here. There'll be a breather up here somewhere for the water tank. And my black water evacuation tube for marinas is going to be up in that back robe section there rather than in the bathroom here, so that I can always access it. That is the one limitation of using modules like this, is that you're going to have restricted access behind them. Either that or you're going to have to cut access hatches, and I've got enough access hatches down low. I don't have any up top, but I may have to put one up in the area above the sink on this one, and I could hide that behind a mirror to get access to those hoses and breather vents should I ever have to replace hosing or whatever. Nice, even down in here. I've integrated it back into what I've done down under the floor here, so it all's pretty seamless, joining down into there. Now remembering this isn't fed, I'm actually seeking this bit of texture. This sort of roughened texture sort of doesn't harbour mould. It'll keep nice and easy to clean. I'll be able to wipe it without having too much roller texture on it. But yeah, that looks fantastic. So water pump's going to basically sit right there and right above my water tank. Actually, in fact, I might even put it over there because then it's closer to my water tank. I'll have a macerator here, and right there will be an anti-siphon valve or a three-way valve for getting rid of any unwanted wastewater, obviously, before it goes into my tanks. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. Yeah, that was no fun. No fun. I'm getting out to even harder than getting in. Look forward to the day I can actually walk in the door. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, next job. Alright, time to start thinking about getting this mast post permanently put in place. It's going to involve a couple of things. It's going to involve filleting the join in the triangular bulkhead and then continuing to place this mast bulkhead in place. Now, oh, it's blowing. Friggin' hell, we've had 79 knot winds here last night. It's just been a beast, so I apologise for the background noise. It's my tent flapping around. I don't know how it survived, but I had it all lashed down, and yeah, I came up a few times through the night just to check it. But all good. But I've got a particularly tricky area down in here. This area here is obviously my mast post, and I haven't ever put this central bulkhead in yet because I still need to access in here to mount the mast post, which is over here. But this wedge that I have up in here is quite a difficult region, and it's yet to be tabbed together. What I intend to do is put a really large fillet of thickened epoxy in here, or vinyl ester with cotton flock more likely, because I can put in quite a body of material in here and then simply tab it around in here. So I'm going to try to put a slither all the way down in there and immediately get that cloth in there to stop it from falling down. I'm going to make it quite thick, and that'll make that a solid block in there, and then I'll be able to action the mast post here. So it's quite a complicated area. You can see how tight it is. I can barely get my hand in there, but I intend to make a fillet of filler all the way to the floor, which will reinforce that and make that structural. Combine that with 2 layers of 600 double bias joining the main central bulkhead to this wing frame bulkhead, this dogleg bulkhead. Then once that's in place, this mast post will be put in here, and then the central bulkhead will be put in place. So lots of structure in there, and it really can't be strong enough, and that's a good way to do it without actually adding too much weight. Obviously if I have it there, I've got the ability to tab it all the way around, and I can just reach in there, and that'll make that one complete section. Alright, it was actually harder to peel ply than it was to laminate. That's now done. I mean, that fillet's going to be as strong as buggery in there. Solid fillet all the way down. I'm now going to be able to install the mast post. Pivotal moment in the build. Basically going to slather each of the faces with epoxy, slide it in place, screw it in place, and then I'll walk away and come back later on and put in a fillet, and then I'll tab it in all 4 sides just to make sure it's engaged totally with that bulkhead. It will never move once it's in here, so I've got to make sure I do it right. I'd hate to put the epoxy on the wrong side. I am going to use epoxy to glue it, basically the Technic glue, and that'll give it a really good solid base. And then I've just prepared the surfaces with epoxy as well, giving it a good wipe, make sure there's no amine blush on the epoxy that's already on it, and then basically get it in place, and then I'll be pretty happy. So the final part of laminating this post in, I've got to do this internal section here. Now I've chosen to do it in epoxy. I intend to do this entire triangular section in epoxy in 2 layers of 600 double bias. It's a bit like calving a baby calf. I've had to resort to desperate measures because my arm has to go all the way down in that hole, and I don't know whether you've ever had epoxy on body hair, but it hurts like hell when you have to rip it off. So I can get down to about this deep, and that's way far enough. It's to the bottom of the post, but they're good. It's essentially, I'll put a fillet in here, and I'm using a clear epoxy. I'll put a thickened epoxy up into the fillet on both sides, 2 layers of 600 double bias, and that's going to complete that job. Now it's not going to be painted out because it's epoxy. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not actually going to paint it, just in case we ever need to get in there again. Can't like my chances of having to do any work in there because it's going to be nearly impossible to get into once the deck's sitting on top of this mast post. But this mast post is glued in, tabbed in, glued in, tabbed in, glued in, tabbed in about 5 times. There's no way this thing's going anywhere. So I'm going to continue to laminate this in and put in this substantial amount of filleting, and that'll complete that side of the bulkhead. Next job, put the massive bulkhead in the side here. This massive central bulkhead will then go across the center of the boat here and complete this job, and I can move forward again, always moving forward. Funnily enough, I don't mind getting vinyl ester and polyester on me, but I hate getting epoxy on me. It is awful. Feels like wax. Now I've got myself into a bit of a dilemma. I've got the mast post. The issue I have right now, however, is this area here. It's a cavity about this big, and there's no way I'm going to be able to tab 1.5 meters down to the floor there, 1200 millimeters down into the floor there. And when I slide this bulkhead into place, it has to intersect this bulkhead. That bulkhead has to be tabbed, filleted, filled in behind there. So I've come up with a way I'm going to deal with that. So by using composite angle, I'm able to create a box section here that is going to be more than sufficient to tab the main bulkhead to this structure here. This is a complicated structure in here. There's a number of intersecting beams that are all required to be tabbed together, and in this case I think I've come up with the best solution. Main bulkhead time. Janet's here, pretty happy, ready to go in. So I'm now putting a heap of epoxy here.
Old man.
Sorry?
Old man.
Yeah, I can't squat down. I can't get on my haunches. That way. So I've just got to slide it across onto something. Just keep it off that bit at the bottom. Almost there. That one out.
Which one?
That one, yeah.
That one?
Oh no, don't you yet. Actually, can you stand on both of them? That's it. Right,
I don't know that. I haven't got a lot.
It's going to go in. Yeah. That's in. Oh, that's perfect. Fantastic. Right, you can kick those. They kicked them away from the glue. So I've got a lot of squeeze out here, which I'm just going to try to remove and fill it as much as possible. Oh, there's a bit of glue, wasn't there? Alright. It's not ideal, but anyway. It's the next morning. It's in. Look at that. Ugh. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to now put a nice vinyl ester fillet of cotton flock and vinyl ester all the way in there, tab it. I've got 3 layers of 600 double bias. First one's 100mm, second one's 200, third one's 300mm wide. Every time overlapping by 50mm or 5 centimeters. And what that's going to do is give me the ultimate amount of surface area attaching to that center bulkhead. Now this line that I've drawn here is actually indicating where the deck is going to interface with or interlock with the actual bulkhead. I'm not going to cut it until I get the deck overhead, but it is pretty accurate. I've done some measurements, I've done some levels off the deck and off the hull here, and you know, that's giving me probably 4 feet of head height in this main cabin at the stern end of the cabin, and around about 3 feet of head height in the forward end above the mattress. So really that's given me incredible headroom. I'll just show you Janet sitting in the bedroom here last night. Right, we're just going to demonstrate the size of our bedroom. This is the roof line here. The bed's this way. When you lay down, watch that, put your hair in the epoxy. How's the space in here, eh?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'll be over.
Amazing.
Sit up and read.
Can you get out to the toilet without hitting your head? No, remember, show me how you get out, because remember this is the bed.
Oh, I can get out. I don't know.
Slide that down.
Get out on the steps.
Oh, no worries. That's much better than the other boat, isn't it?
No problem.
No toilet in there yet, darling. So you have to wait. That's good, eh? Tiny. Fantastic. All right.
Good size cupboard.
Yeah.
And I've got a wardrobe and shelves.
Got the medicine cabinet in there.
We will do.
Sink, washing machine probably.
I won't be wearing these shoes and it because they're a bit. Oh, that's a bit lethal.
Yeah. We're just testing out a couple of bits of flooring. I was pretty amazed at the amount of room we have. Typically these cabins have about this much head space down in the forward end because everything's coming to a peak at the front of the boat. But because ours is a solid bridge deck, we actually have a higher deck going forward and a slightly better headroom. So now that's in, I'm going to give it a good clean. Now that is an epoxy Techniglue fillet that I've put in there that's actually holding the bulkhead in place. So it's very important that I hit it with a little bit of acetone just to take the amine blush off. I've already sanded it and prepared it all, but I'll just give it a quick wipe with acetone, just a quick swish, and that'll ensure that I'm going to get a good bond. There's virtually no epoxy exposed here, which means that the vinyl ester will stick to the actual bulkhead and not to the epoxy that's underneath. Yeah, I've just finished tabbing the main bulkhead. I'm going to go down and rip peel ply off and just see if it's all set up properly. It's probably about 40 hours since I did it, but yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, that's spot on. So we'll just tear this off. Unreal, look at that. That is just rock solid. There's no way that's ever delaminated. Never. Big day today. It's going in. Well, I've been talking about this thing for nearly 2 years. I've had enough. Demoulding, 6 days away. Got to get it in. It has to be in or I can't float the deck over the top. So it's going to be a fair bit of prep. I'm going to have to sand the entire part of around the head and tidy that up because it's going to be very hard to sand once it's actually glued in place. Second thing I'm going to have to do, I'm going to lather these studs up and basically make sure they're covered in epoxy. Now that's going to make it a bit messy because as it slides in, it's going to get all over this. So Janet's going to come up and get a metho rag and just wipe off any excess with that methylated spirits, denatured alcohol, whatever you want to call it. Down on the floor, I've essentially got to block it about 1 inch up because these straps that are holding it in place have to be out by the time I drop it down. So there's a lot going to happen, and basically then I'll just kick those chocks out, and the whole thing will sit down. I'll get it positioned and clamp it and walk away for the day, because I'm going to let it sit. Now tomorrow I'm going to do the starboard head as well, so I need to get both of those in, and then I've pretty much got a clean run to get the other tent down, the pallet rack up the back there, that big pallet rack that I've got over here has to come down. All of this crap in here has to be removed so that I've got room to bring this deck in, because my space is about to get seriously limited when I bring the deck over the top. Everything's going to be closed in, it's going to be dark, I'm going to have the windows aren't going to be cut out. There'll be a bit of light, but not a lot, so I've got to move lights. All these lights I've got up here, I've got to get them down, or at least most of them down. I've got 3 or 4 LED strip lights up there, got to get them down so that I can reposition them inside the boat, and Roscoe's about to start getting closed in. So I've just spent about 45 minutes with my roller sander, which sadly you can't buy anymore. And what I've done, I've neatened all this up and put radiuses in here. I don't want any chance of any of it cracking, and it actually looks nice as a radius. Cut it in and tied it all in, all nice and rounded and ready to go. You'll notice under there as well, it's all flow coated out in there. Everywhere I need it to be flow coated, so beautiful and neat. Haven't flow coated the shelving there, that's going to be painted. Probably white, obviously, for a medicine cabinet. But for the moment, the whole thing's basically ready to go. Now this is going to have some sort of a wooden floating floor or something in here in the bathroom. It's a bit hard to get it in, but as you can see, and I've got that bit of damage there and another bit of damage up there from when that roof mold fell in. But these ratchet straps that I have here, all over the module, are going to get covered in glue. So I need to remove them right at the very last minute, and I've just got to make sure that I can access them to pull them out. Once I get this slid down in, it's going to have glue down all the sides. I've got to be able to pull them out without covering them in glue. So what I'll probably do is drop it down onto a couple of 30mm high chocks, and then I'll get in there and I'll cork all around the line where the floor is going to match. And that way, by corking it all the way around, I can then just kick the chocks out. So where that line is over there, I'm going to basically cork all the way around the head, around here where the head fits, just to make sure absolutely everything fits, and then I'll just squash it down, and then I'll do a tidy up, and it's going to be so nice not to have these straps here. I'll be able to get in and out a lot easier. Janet just asked how her hair is. This is why I wear a hat, because I've never got good hair, but you've always got good hair, honey.
I've got lots of it, I don't know how good.
So what are we doing today? Come on.
We're going to put in the main bathroom.
Bathroom.
The port side.
On the port side, right, good stuff. We've got some clamps, we've got some glue. Janet's been mixing some epoxy, and we're basically
Retrieving.
setting up cameras as we have to do every day. Clamps. Oh, she's getting out of bed finally. It's 11 o'clock. All right, we're setting up.
Why are we not to wear steel caps when we actually are on the boat?
I've got your steel cap boots on.
Well, you might drop it on my foot.
Yeah, good point. Right. Okay, so this is going in there forever. Don't ever want to see it out of that hole again. Demoulding day, 6 days out, and we're ready to go. We got all our epoxy mixed up?
Well, I haven't mixed it.
Okay, all right, we'll have a chat about how we're going to do this, because it's going to be a bit complicated. We're going to get rid of the straps halfway down. I've got plenty of working time, because this is a slow hardener on this one, so you know it takes hours to go off. It's about an hour before it even gels. Oh, funny segue. I was dyeing Janet's hair the other night, because we're in lockdown. And Janet was trying to teach me how to mix hair, the 2 parts, and I said, I think I know how to mix 2 parts of dye. We were just lightening it up. Janet started off as a brunette, now she's going blonde. And so yeah, double bonus for Roscoe. Get 2 different women. God.
Yeah, I'm too
it's going to stop. Oh, God.
It's all over.
So you stop it there. Right, what we'll do. Don't worry too much. Yeah, use this.
No, you do that, and then I'll take it back forward.
Let's just get it down to the floor level. It's going to stop on those chocks, and then I've got to take these bloody straps.
You're not going to get them out. They're probably covered in it.
One strap's covered in it. Hello, I'm in here and I don't have to crawl under it. Thank God. Right, now this is going to be... Challenge is we've got to pull it out with the loose end, not the buckle end. If you pull out the buckle end, then you're well in trouble.
Pull too hard.
Those three straps. Alright. Oh, phase one complete. So if you just have a look here, I've got it chopped up about a centimetre high because we had the straps through. We didn't want the straps getting contaminated with this epoxy. Now I'm just going to simply cork the entire surround, which is, I don't even need that. Make sure I get.
Yeah.
A bit of a grind to tidy it up. I've got so much excess glue here. I'll just
Repurpose it. Oh, is that? I missed it.
no, I had to give it the old hit.
Yeah.
How bloody good is that?
Must be pretty happy about that.
That's like 2 out of the hell, that was.
Interesting perspective.